All right, you see another individual there in the shot with us. Our next guest serves our country as an active duty Army officer, and he says anger with President Trump's NFL remarks just doesn't justify protesting our national anthem.
He writes this, #TakeAKnee is not only disrespectful to men and women who died for our freedom, but antithetical to black history. If the past is any indication, it will take a higher degree of patriotism and more celebration of American values to truly ensure equality for all Americans.
Let's bring Jeremy in now. Jeremy, are you surprised that we are seeing more and more players now, just a week later, standing versus kneeling during the anthem?
No, I always thought that eventually we would see people start to stand up once again, and I think that's a really a good news story because at this difficult time we have to unify as a country. There are so many divisive forces at play in our nation, and if there's anything worth resisting, we need to resist the division and come together as one and unite and stand for the national anthem, and also to work with our neighbor and work in our communities and to truly live out the spirit of America, which is one that is a united nation.
Jeremy, you serve our great country in uniform. How have we gotten to a point where our flag is seen as a divisive issue?
Well, certainly I don't speak for the Army, but my personal views, I would say that I think a lot of it has to do with it seems to be a shift in protest politics, whereas before we all believed in the fundamental goodness of our country and belief that America was a fundamentally great place. Yes. And then even through history we see Dr. King exhorting America to do better, to go further, to ensure equality for all. But now it seems to be, instead of an exhortation to do better, it seems to be a tearing away. And as these protests seem to imply.
Jeremy, you say there is a middle ground. What do you think that middle ground is?
Absolutely. Well, we can have the mainstream media seems to paint black Americans as basically as a monolith, that we're all kneeling during the national anthem. But the bottom line is that there are many folks that say, hey, we can have a productive conversation about the issues in this country while still respecting our flag and respecting the national anthem. It is possible to do both. And that's why I think regardless of what happens today at the football games, what's going on in the living rooms of those folks watching the game today? How are we working with our neighbors? How are we loving our neighbors? How are we working as a community? We saw in the wake of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma how communities were coming together. People of different walks of life, of different races, were working together as one. And then we saw it dissipate so quickly with the national anthem protests. So my question is, how can we recover that spirit of unity that's really the DNA of America?
Jeremy Hunt, such an important perspective. Really glad to have you on the show this morning.
That's right.
Thank you for your service.
U.S. Army officer and leadership strategist for the Douglas Leadership Institute. Thank you.
Thanks so much.